Start. And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the joyful webinar. This is so amazing. I feel like this is a topic that always gets me hyped up. I am so glad for anyone and everyone who's tuning in right now from Facebook, YouTube, and all the other different avenues that we usually go live on. Please tell us where you're tuning in from, what time is it, and what are you most excited about when it comes to this webinar. With that, I would love to introduce our beautiful panelists who are going to talk about Joyful January, which is the theme of our month for the Wisdom Creators Facebook page that we have, along with the Coaching Minds page. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited. All right, so we're going to go off. I would love to introduce all these beautiful people. There's Adrian, Donna, and Iris. Adrian, if you can, please go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone who's watching us right now.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Marima. So, I'm Adrian de Waal from South Africa. I've been part of Coaching Minds probably last 2 years, and I'm a training life coach with Coaching Minds as well. I bake full time here in South Africa. I know we always talk about my baking and cookies now. Me and Adele makes everyone jealous of it. And I'm looking forward to sharing insights tonight.
That sounds amazing. I am sitting here right now at 11:30 in the night and I would die and kill for some cookies. So Adrian, whenever you can, send them over. I'm living in India. I must send my address to you. I have no qualms about it. Donna, with that, please go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone watching us live or replay right now.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm new to Coaching Minds, but I've known and been following Paul for a long time. So I am a joy and purpose parenting coach. I am accredited through the ICF, but I am doing the EMCC accreditation as well. And so I live in Dubai, and I also, apart from Joy and Purpose Coaching, I also run a coaching supporting coaches group as well. So I'm really happy to be here, and I just love anything to do with joy and incorporating it in your life.
Amazing. I'm so excited to hear your insights to all the wonderful questions that I'll be asking you guys. And to everyone who's watching us, you guys can send us questions. You can send questions during the conversations, after the conversation ends, and I can share that with all the beautiful panelists in here. With that, Iris, please go ahead and introduce yourself to our beautiful audience.
Hi, hello. Yes, I'm Iris from the Philippines. I love everyone's uh, energy, especially Madrimas. Yes, I'm also a trainee life coach here in Coaching Minds, and I'm looking forward to share with you my insights and learn as well with my co-panelists.
Amazing, amazing. We have genuinely a global audience right now and a global panelist. Panelists, I am so excited to have you guys here and for you to share your wonderful insights with all of us. With that, I would love to dive right in with a famous quote that I don't know how many of you guys have heard, but I feel like for me, that exemplifies what joyful living means. And this is by Frederick Nietzsche. And he said this quote: "Those who are often seen dancing are thought insane by those who can't hear the music." And for me, I feel like that is my energy literally 90% of the time. And a lot of people out there are like, whoa, how are you so joyful? What does being joyful mean to you? And for me, that is it. It's dancing to the music that a lot of us can listen to and a lot of us can't. So, my very first question to all you beautiful people would be this: what does joyful living mean to you? We'll start with Adrian, go to Donna, and then to Iris.
Thank you for that quote, Marima. It is a good way to start this discussion. And I'd say for me, it is standing up with a spark inside of you every single morning, and literally everything that you do as a person, doing it to your utmost best and doing it with laughter in your heart at all times. There are so many people in this world and that I've known personally that struggle with depression or just struggle with life. And a constant reminder is always that if you just remember the joy that's inside and fill yourself with that joy, then you sorry, I'm getting tongue tied. Then you can look past what is making you feel sorrow and remember that there that there's joy inside of each and every moment and each and every opportunity of every day.
That sounds like a beautiful answer, Adrian. I have to say that is such a good definition. Donna, what do you have to say to that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I also think that you have to consciously incorporate it in your life, because you can get trapped on that hamster wheel and you forget to pause, be present, and actually take that breath and go, wow, this is beautiful. Or also waking up first thing in the morning is having that intention. What am I going to look for today that's going to be joyful? And when you go to bed, what was joyful about today? And then that's how you have that gratitude and appreciation for people, for things, for random acts of kindness. So it really, really does fill up your cup. Um, and yeah, I mean, for me, if I've got to laugh every single day at something, and that could start from me getting up first thing in the morning, looking at myself in the mirror and going, oh my God. And the rest of the day I might not laugh, but I laughed first thing in the morning. So again, it's about what you choose to focus on. So yeah, that's for me.
That sounds something that's pretty similar to mine, especially the waking up and looking at myself in the mirror and going, this is what people are gonna see throughout the day. Here we go. Thank you so much for sharing that wonderful, wonderful answer, Donna. What do you have to say, Iris? What does joyful living mean to you?
Yes, for me, joyful living means it's not being dependent on external circumstances. So unlike happiness, I actually agree with what Donna said earlier. So it's about the little things and like your actions, your daily actions, daily thoughts, daily feelings, like that. I actually read the Book of Joy. So I have the book here actually. It's from Dalai Lama, the Archbishop Tutu, and we have Douglas Abram. It was mentioned in the book that true joy is a way of being, not a fleeting emotion. So for me, is it's regardless of what you're going through or regardless of what you currently have right now, being joyful is internal. So even if you are in pain, you can be joyful, or even if the circumstance is not in your not in your not in the way that you want it to be, you can still be joyful.
I love that. That is such a beautiful answer, Iris. And genuinely, my next question goes out to not only all our beautiful panelists, but also anyone who's watching this live right now. What does being joyful look like for you? I love for people to share their comments. So after our panelists are done sharing their answers, I would love to go through those answers and create that vibe within the community and get ourselves going. All right, Adrian, the mic goes on to you. What does being joyful look like to you and for you?
For me, I'd say it is, and I've thought of this line from, I think it's a movie the whole time that everyone was talking now because it just screamed at me, and it is remember to smell the flowers. And for me, it is to every day look for at least one positive. And as you look for the one positive, you see, but that positive holds another positive and another positive and another positive. And I recently listened to a podcast, and in the podcast, he said that you must look for as many positives as you can per day and build them up. And ever since I listened to that, that's what I try to follow every single day. And where there's a lot of challenges that happens every single day, as long as you remember to smell the flowers, you will realize for what you have to be thankful for.
I love that because specifically how you mentioned every positive, there are a lot of other positives tied in, and you can kind of roll it up into your ball and look at it in its entirety. That was such a wonderful answer, Adrian. Donna, what do you have to say? What does being joyful look like for you?
This is a really good question because for me, it's an embrace of all my senses. When I think of joyful, it's like a warm hug. It's the feel of the sun on your face. It's that, well, for me anyway, it's the smell of suntan lotion and children laughing and warmth and kindness and generosity, and it's just so when I have those intentions to try and be joyful, or I want to be in a joyful place, it's where I just tap into all my emotions and all my senses to really appreciate that emotion, that feeling.
I love that. I would love to ask you, Donna, as a follow up to what you just mentioned, is this connected to a memory? The suntan lotion and the warmth and everything. Is it connected to a memory, or where does this come from? Where does this particular sensation for you come from?
I
If you
think
don't mind
it's
answering.
no, absolutely not. And I will be very honest. I didn't have a very good childhood, and my joyful memories were quite fleeting. So again, this is what I said at the beginning about being joyful for me is a conscious decision. So when I see things and feel things, and it feels good and it makes my body feel alive. I'm 52. I've gone through a lot in my life, and there have been times where I've been extremely depressed and gone through trauma. And it's for me to compartmentalize and reach out to that side that has brought me joy. So anything that gives me goose pimples, puts a smile, makes me pause, I kind of like capture it and put it in my head for when I need it as well. So I suppose it's kind of like a survival toolkit to help me emotionally and socially. So yeah, but thank you very much for that question.
Yeah, thank you so much for answering it. I'm so glad that you shared that particular experience and those particular memories with us. Iris, what does being joyful look like for you?
Being joyful to me looks like moving forward in every challenge or in every day of my life. So it looks like solving problems and not being stuck, you know. And sometimes, I mean, before I used to think that I will be, I mean, with every problem that I will get, or in every bad situation that I was in, I thought that I would really in a bad place. But now it changed my perspective, and especially that I have an anxiety disorder, and the best friend of anxiety is control, right? So throughout these past few years, I crave control. Like I plan my life from each aspect, from one to another. And then 2022 is really an internal transformation for me. And almost all of the things that I planned did not happen. And at first I was sad, and then I realized, wait a minute, I'm okay. I'm okay, even though almost all of my plans did not push through, and I'm in a better place, you know. And then I actually, that was the first time I felt joy, the inner joy, because I thought to myself, wow, I'm healing because I don't crave for control anymore. I just let the situation, unravel. So that for me is what joy looks like.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that, Iris. The understanding that being in flow and letting things unravel can be joyful is such a powerful thing, especially when it comes tied in with the epiphany that you had based on your own experience. Thank you so much for sharing that. Before we jump on to the next question, I would love to read some of the comments that we had in here from our beautiful audience when I asked you guys, what does being joyful look like for you? All right. Ooh, there have been so many comments in here. Adele says, find the joy in laughter in negative situations, turns it into a positive. Find the joy in laughter in negative situations, turn it into a positive. And then, very true, there are many challenges happening in our daily lives. Priya says, joyful for me means live every day as if it is the last day of your life. Create moments of joy and take life one step at a time. Powerful. Being able to laugh at yourself is a strength. Adele, I vibe with you. I laugh at myself literally all the time. It's not even funny. I genuinely bring in people from my family. I'm like, today's laugh session is gonna be centered around me. Let's go. Let's have at it. And it's really fun, to be honest. Um, Priya says that your explanation, Adrian, was really beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Priya. Adele says, find the beauty in everything and feeling it within, then sharing the joy with others and cause a ripple effect. That is so powerful. And Priya agrees with it. Woohoo, amazing. Ah, I'm so excited to see the community genuinely sharing their experiences with us. Thank you so much for that. My next question to all of you amazing human beings present in the panel today is this: how did you find your way to living a joyful life? We'll go ahead with you, Adrian. And I realize that I'm probably mispronouncing your name literally multiple times throughout this session, so please forgive me. My heart is in the right place.
No, that's okay. I've realized people do struggle with my name, and I've made peace with it, and I'm at joy. Um, so a lot of most people in coaching minds, from the older people that's been there from the beginning, will know that I was diagnosed with bipolar mood disorder at the age of 18 and depression at the age of 16. So for me, for the longest time after that, I struggled every single day of my life with being joyful. It was always for me extremely difficult. Whereas as my mom likes to tell a story that when I was a kid till the age of probably 10, I was always the boy that laughed the loudest, gave the biggest hugs, and I just always had joy inside of me. And in my late teens, that disappeared, and I didn't feel any of that anymore. And in the last probably 10 years, I made a conscious decision to get back in touch with who I was before chaos started to overwhelm me. And I can say with all honesty that the last year and a half, I've found meaning in my life again. I found again the person that I was. And yes, it came with a lot of hard work and with a lot of focus and with friends who were by my side and who are still are by my side. And I think that's what gives a lot of meaning for me at this stage, is to know where I came from and how much just getting up in the morning was a battle and a struggle for me every day. And now I still get bad days, but I choose not to let them define me anymore. And my mom always used to say, Adrian, you must remember to turn on the light. And that she said to me at one stage daily. And she said, Adrian, don't live like this. Turn on the light. And if there's one message that I give to people today, it is when you feel like everything's too much, just flick that switch, because the power actually lies within you to decide for yourself that you want to change your circumstances. Doesn't matter how tough it is. And I might sound like a hypocrite to say that you can change your circumstances, but if you really put your mind to it, you can actually do anything.
Thank you so much for that. Oh my gosh, that resonated so much with me, Adrian. Thank you so much for sharing that powerful story and that powerful reminder to turn on the light and believe in the power within. That is so, so, so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Donna, what about you? How did you find your way to living a joyful life?
Oh, I think I'm always going to be finding my way to find a joyful life. With every new circumstance or experience that comes up, you're constantly being challenged. But I think at the beginning, I remember growing up and, my family, especially my parents, when they were happy, it was a case of, oh, we better make the most of it because it's not going to last. Something bad's going to happen. So, I grew up with that. So as soon as and a part of you kind of resisted being too happy, because if I'm happy, then that means something bad's going to follow. And I didn't like living like that way. I love being happy. So, and another good example of this, I remember when I fell pregnant, I was over the moon because I'd been told previously that I couldn't have children. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was literally here in Dubai, like 27 years ago. There used to be people, guys selling newspapers at the traffic lights. And even he found out I was pregnant. He was like, "Good morning, madam." And I'm like, "I'm pregnant." And I was so happy everybody found out I was pregnant. Unfortunately, I had a miscarriage. And I remember a couple of people saying to me, "You should never have told anyone you were pregnant." And I was really surprised. And I just thought, no, I'm not living that way. My joy did not cause a miscarriage. My joy is honoring that pregnancy. And then 6 months later, I fell pregnant again. And I went round and told everybody I was pregnant. So again, it's about that mindset. And we're always going to be challenged. And how do you want to live your life? What kind of person do you want to be? How do you want to feel? How do you want to show up? So, yeah, again, for me, it's just that conscious action and reflection.
Oh, thank you so much once again for sharing that, Donna. I personally resonate a lot with what you shared right now because we have had that as well, like if you're being too happy, prepare to be sad because it's going to happen at any moment. So, for a really long time, I was living the same exact way that you're living right now was like, I'm laughing too much. I better get ready to cry. I have to cry because this is what has happened so many times and this is what people have told me. So for a really long time I believed that that was the truth, that I can't be happy. And to be honest, obviously there are ups and downs, there are waves in life, and I understand that concept. But I was sad to be in a space where every time I was happy, I was preparing to be sad again without being present in the moment. Like I was preparing for, let me get ready for to fight with whatever is going to come my way now because I'm so happy. And because I know that this is going to burn and crash. So I resonate so hard with what you shared, Donna. And oh, thank you so much for that. Iris, what do you have to say? How did you find your way to living a joyful life?
Well, actually, back in my school days, I used to be a happy-go-lucky kid, you know. So I live day by day. That was my coping mechanism. So I would do anything to make myself happy, thinking, I mean, I won't think something for the next day, just today, just for the day that I will be happy like that. But then people would tell me that I'm not responsible enough because I'm not thinking about my future and such like that. So fast forward to when I started working already, I became the opposite. I was always thinking about the future, planning. I have a lot of things to do like that. What would be my goal this year like that. I'm always planning my next event, planning the next book like that. So my life became serious. It was the opposite. And then I found out about ikigai. So I don't know if you're familiar of that. It's the Japanese art way of living, right? So um, it's four circles with what you love tied to what you're good at, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs. So when I started to practice, you know, um, ikigai, then that's when I really found that internal joy in me. That's because, someone, or it's not really external, it's internal, that someone or the world cannot remove from me. So when I will be swayed, or sometimes I would get caught up with what's happening, or sometimes it's overwhelming, but it would be my anchor, you know it would be always I would always find myself drifting back to my passion and purpose, what I love, what the world needs. And that really makes me feel joyful.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Iris. I definitely resonate Once again, I'm genuinely resonating with all you amazing human beings on here, because I feel like oftentimes, right, we are labeled immature because we are happy. Once again, bringing back the quote which I mentioned earlier, those who are dancing are often thought insane by those who can't hear the music. And so, a lot of times, I've noticed this not only with my own self, but from the experiences that you all are sharing here, and also from the experiences that I have heard of outside the space. That a lot of times, every time you're happy, there's probably a few people out there who are like, you shouldn't be happy. Stop being happy. Why are you being happy? For anyone who's listening to that today, or has experienced that particular thing in these past few days, what would your advice be? And we'll go back from Iris to Adrian. So, Iris, what do you have to say to someone who's being joyful but has heard recently not to be so?
Well, I would say that, you know, sometimes people don't mean what they say. And also, the saying, hurt people, like that. So what I think is that that person who told who told you that you're not joyful, or you're supposedly not, I mean, you're supposedly stop being joyful. I think that person is coming from pain, or can be from trauma or a bad experience. So we'll never know. But like what I've mentioned earlier, being joyful is internal. So no matter what people will say to you, if you are joyful, you are joyful. You can't be swayed. And what I've also learned about the Book of Joy is that our goal is not just to be joyful. We need to be the reservoir of joy to others, right? Because of the feeling of giving joy to someone else, or the feeling of having another person be joyful because of you, is really priceless. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Donna, what do you have to say to this?
I find it interesting if somebody does feel that, or makes a comment, because I agree with Iris that person is most probably hurting somewhere, and you have to look at yourself and explain. Well, you don't have to explain to them anything really, but your intentions is to live more fulfilling life. And this doesn't mean that everything is hunky-dory, everything is running smoothly. But we also don't have to share and show everything to everybody all the time. So if you're having friends and you're meeting for coffee, and they're like, why are you so happy? You can't be this happy all the time. And no, you're not. But I'm choosing to be happy in this moment with you. When I go home, then I've got the bills to pay, or I've got the dog poo to pick up, or I've got the kids' nappies to check. I've got that. But right here, right now, I'm choosing to leave that behind and be present with you, and be grateful and be joyful. And that will stop them in their tracks to realize that they're actually choosing to bring everything forward into that space when they don't necessarily have to. So maybe they need to get a coach. I'm just saying.
Yeah, maybe they should reach out to you. Okay. Honestly, though, that is such a powerful answer. Thank you so much, Donna. Adrian, what do you have to say to that?
I agree with both Iris and Donna on this, and I agree that most of the time, people that will come up with a comment like that are people that are dealing with a lot of stress in their own lives, and for some reason, okay, I know we've probably all done it at some point in our lives, that when someone else is happy and we aren't happy and we don't have the joy at that stage for whichever reason, then we will sort of be like, but why must they be happy? Why are they happy all the time? Because then we tend to think, but we are never happy. We always go through bad times, but we tend to forget that there are good times as well. And it's a friend told me yesterday, life is a lot like no, in life, yin and yang is a big part because it's the good and the bad. And a doctor actually, I believe, someone once told me that you have to take the good with the bad. And as we all have good days, we all have bad days. But it's the power of the universe sort of altering its way out, that you can't just have good. No, let me just say it in a better way. It can't go good with you all the time. You have to have a up and a down at some point. But I like to believe that the steeper the hill is, the steeper the roller coaster ride up is, the better the journey down will be. So, yes, you're going through a tough time at the moment. Just know that when you go down that hill, um, then it will be one joyful ride down. So you've got to take the good and the bad.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Adrian. I definitely agree. There have been times where I see someone who's joyful, and even though I don't say it out loud, internally I'm like, why are they being so joyful? Like, oh my gosh, why? Right? And I feel like this is something that someone that I had on my podcast once told me, that one of the biggest gifts out there that you can have is compassion. And I've heard Gary Vee say it, I've heard so many people say it, but the way she explained it really landed for me is a lot of times, once again, you can see things from the outer perspective, right? And maybe they can't, or vice versa. And so, in moments like that, be compassionate to yourself, be compassionate to others, and allow that joy to spread. I think Priya mentioned one of those comments, like, share the joy. That is the answer. Like, if you are being joyful, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can share the joy. I'm going to read a few comments before we jump on to the next questions, because we have had a lot of comments in here and I'm so excited. Woohoo. Priya, I just saw an answer, just saw a question, and I will be asking all these beautiful. Oh, I might as well ask, how do you manage to be joyful in really challenging days? What do you guys have to say to that? And we'll start with Adrian.
I must admit that is a tough question that Priya has asked. It's a very tough one, and I've had, I think it wasn't last week, I had a day that I thought, can't the world just sort of what's the correct word? I'm thinking in Afrikaans now. Can't the world just swallow me at this stage? I feel that it's the baddest day I'm going through in months. And what sort of helped me is what I'm doing for a living now is the baking. Whenever I've got a really bad day, I simply go to the kitchen and I start baking. And I just mix some dough and I just take my frustrations out in that dough. And in the end, when I've done forming the dough, it's just love that's going in there because I'm realizing, Adrian, you can do every single day what you love. And there's a lot of people out there who aren't as fortunate. There's people who can't say they love their job, who is physically they're doing the job, well, they're doing their work to survive. They're not doing it to both survive and because it gives them meaning. And I know probably everyone on the panel tonight, um, coaching means a lot to us. And for me, it's always been a thing of I started with the coaching because I want to give back. And that's something that makes me every day go on. When I've got a bad day, I just remember what I'm doing this for.
I love that, Adrian. I love that. Donna, what do you have to say? How do you manage to be joyful on really challenging days?
I'm going to be honest, sometimes I'm not. And that's okay. I give myself permission and grace to sometimes just feel it and say, far out, this day is sucky. And the chances are in 5 days' time or 5 years' time, I'll look back at this experience and see the funny side. But right now, it's not. Which, when you end up saying that to yourself, you end up laughing. So it can work, but I think, you know, it's not good to sit in any emotion the whole time. And I think you need to take away that pressure from you to say, okay, this is a bad situation. How can I be happy? How can I see the positive? Some days, no, I don't want to see the positive. I'm feeling it. It hurts. I'm in pain. But tomorrow when I wake up, I will change my attitude. But today I need to sit in this. And, you know, otherwise, you know, what are we teaching our children as well? We've got to teach them how to feel, how to embrace their emotions, but also a positive way of working through certain situations. And sometimes that is just saying, okay, world, I'm closing you out today. It's just me. And, you know, me wallowing in self-pity. And that's all right.
I love that answer. I love that answer so much. Iris, what do you have to say? How do you manage to be joyful on really challenging days?
I would like to share the 8 pillars of joy from the Book of Joy. So, starting with perspective, this one is what I'm working for currently. And then we have humility. Third is humor. So, I agree with you all. I'm also laughing at myself most of the time. And to be able to do that really increase our joy. Also acceptance. So to be able to laugh at your mistakes or to laugh at your situation is accepting what is happening. And forgiveness. So what I'm doing about forgiveness is I pray. I pray for the person who who did something wrong or bad to me. So if there would be a group, I would really mention the names. And then I learned from the Book of Joy to detach the person from the action. So of course you really need to do something about it. I mean, let's say if it was bullying, you really need to report to HR or something, but you don't attach it to the person really. So you can let go. And then we have gratitude. So even in the worst situation, you can think of you're still healthy, you're still alive, you're still breathing, like that. So it's also connected in a way to perspective. And then compassion, like what you said earlier. So I like that, compassion. And then generosity. This is what I've been doing when I feel sad or I feel depressed. What I would do is to go out of my way and help someone. And then it would make me happy and it would make me feel like I have a purpose, really. And then I would end this sharing with what I have been doing nowadays. So, for example, I have a problem currently and I feel that it's big and it's consuming me. What I would do is to think what how can I view it next week? So what would happen next week if I have the same problem? And let's say just for the sake of an example, let's say your problem is you don't have money right now. So what would happen next week? So you will think of, oh, probably next week it would be not bad because my payday will come. And then what would happen next month? Of course, two paydays already, right? And then next year it would be irrelevant. So you will think that your problem will get smaller and smaller if you think that way. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing the 8 pillars of joy. I think that is so powerful. Thank you so much for that, Iris. I do have to add from my personal perspective, I kind of resonate with what Donna said, and it ties up with what everyone said. Sometimes there are days when I'm genuinely not feeling it. And in those days, no matter how much I try, I'm like, I can't get myself to be happy. I can't get myself to be in that space where I'm experiencing joy for all it is. And so I think those days it's really important to actually sit down with that emotion and be with it, because oftentimes we try to switch it off and jump to the joy. But it's really important to sit with what you're feeling in that moment and being with it. And then I tend to pamper myself, which is where, if honestly, Adrian, you would be here, I would be gorging on every amazing cookie you're probably making out there. And then it ties up to what I just said as well. A lot of times, being compassionate, having that perspective, and being generous is really powerful. It genuinely shifts things around. This is what happened on Christmas morning. I was like, oh my God, I hate everything. And no matter how much I was trying, I couldn't get myself in the Christmas spirit, as people like to call it. And eventually I was like, you know what, can you guys, I asked my brother, can you get me my favorite flavor of ice cream? I'm gonna eat that. I'm gonna eat cake. I'm gonna pamper myself and allow myself to be in that space where I can enjoy the things that I like without there being anything attached to it. And then eventually, as the day went on, a lot of other things happened. There was gifts, there was all these things that slowly but surely shifted. So I think it ties up to what all you wonderful people are saying, that things, the bad, Adrian said this, the bad doesn't always last. The good is coming. And I love that. Ooh, I'm going to read a few comments here. Brenda says, joy comes from within. The external environment should complement our joy, not be the driver. I love that. Priya says, you have grown tremendously, Adrian. So proud of you and how far you have come. Once again, Priya says, someone thought to me to zone out when we need to. Similarly, switch on the light. Amazing webinar. Thank you so much, Priya, for sharing that. I am doing an amazing job hosting. This is literally my first time. So, um, Priya asks this question: can someone ever be happy always? And you guys, you've already answered bits and pieces of this thing. So I'd love for you to share this in one line. Can someone ever be happy always? We'll start with you, Adrian.
For me, I'd say no. Um, You think you can and you try your best to, but at times we are all human. We are going to have bad days as well.
Amazing, Donna.
No, and don't put that pressure on yourself. Be realistic. Life is a heartbeat. You'll have up, down, sidewards, round in circles days. So enjoy it. Go with the flow.
Love it. Iris.
Yes, same as everyone. It's not possible. So, like what you've said earlier, so just sit with what emotion that you have. Let it flow. Feel it, because we are human. So it's not possible. But that's okay. We can be happy for someone, right? And we can also think of, like what you've all said earlier, that joy is coming, happiness is coming, good days is coming.
Love that. Amazing. Here are some more comments that we got. Adele says that acceptance for me was key. Things happen, how you react to it makes the difference. Wonderful. Brenda says, my new philosophy for challenging days is that saying a day is challenging can be considered a way to label the day. If this is the case, I choose the label I want my day to be. So I'll choose one that is in alignment to what I want to accomplish. I notice that if I set the intention for my day, the things that will happen during the day are just for me to become better. And then as a result, it's easier to be joyful. I love that. Priya agrees with you, Iris. Perhaps the person lacks joy in their life. And I think this is in regards to the question that I was asking you earlier, where I asked you guys, what if someone rains on your parade, for a lack of better word? uh, Brenda says, I get that question a lot and I say I choose to be happy. Jane agrees with us, share the joy. How can you be so calm while the storm is happening? It isn't the bad days that help us become more joyful. With unhappy days, we create happy ones. How will you know if joy if you haven't experienced the sorrow? You need to have the other, Adele says. That is so powerful. Um, Yeah, so much resonates with you, Donna. I used to drag my thoughts, emotions from the previous day. Now I'm learning to heal, let go, and forgive. It feels great and it helps. This has been such a great session. Thank you for sharing those 8 tips, Iris. This is so, so powerful. I'm loving it. All right. Here is my next question to you guys. Can you give us the number one tip or the number one suggestion for anyone who's struggling to be joyful in this moment? And I think we have already covered bits and pieces of it. So, number one tip that you would like to share with anyone who's struggling to be joyful right now? I forgot to say, Adrian, you
Uh,
go first.
I think it would be my whole answer is summed up by a quote, and I'm trying to think from who that quote is or in what movie it was, but I can't. But it is simply as follows: instead of waiting for the storm to pass, learn to dance in the rain. And I believe that's what we all should do.
I love that. Donna, what do you have to say to that?
Well, I've chosen a quote as well, and I can't remember who said it, but I'm blaming that on the menopause. It's
Literally, no
somebody,
one out
it's
there
a
can
good
hear the.
quote.
No- Yeah, it's a quote.
Yeah,
It
and it's a
exists.
good one, so it's obviously not mine. You know that saying, "You only live once." Well, actually, you only die once. You live every day. I'll leave it there. I'll
Dang.
drop the mic and leave it there.
That is a powerful quote. Oh my gosh. Iris, what do you have to say to that?
Oh my gosh, that was a wonderful one, Donna. I don't have a quote here, but what I can say first and foremost is the person is struggling to be joyful, right? So that from that moment, that person wants to be joyful. So that itself, you have you want to be joyful. There is that you want, there's the goal. to be joyful. You're not stuck in a way. So that's good. And if you're struggling, that's okay. It happens to all of us, right? Just be in the moment. I mean, we don't have to be in a hurry to be joyful. Sometimes, actually, if we let the things unfold, it will just happen. But if we keep on chasing and chasing everything and depending attaching on external environment, especially material things, like let's say if I will have this role, I will be happy. If I'll have an updated phone, I'll be happy, like that, will be miserable and will really struggle. So what my tip will be to live your life as it is currently. If you're struggling, that's okay. But the most important thing here is that you want to be joyful. You have it in you already. And sometime just move forward, and then you'll never know that you're already joyful. You will just realize, oh, I'm joyful already, right?
I love that. I am so glad this discussion is going so well and our viewers agree. I am so glad to hear all your wonderful answers. My last question to you amazing human beings is this, and we'll start with Adrian. How has being joyful changed your life?
Well, for me, it's changed my life because it made me realize that it could have been worse. Um, Bad days are bad days, and they're bad days for a reason. But being joyful made me realize that we all have something to fight for, and we all have something to live for and wake up for. And let that be your light which you are leading towards is the joyful memories and joyful moments.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Donna, what do you have to say? How has being joyful changed your life?
Oh, just I think my character, my identity, well, definitely my identity is very connected with being joyful. It's made me a stronger, more resilient person, a more compassionate person. It keeps things in perspective. It stops things getting too heavy. It breaks your thought pattern. It breaks your physiology. Yeah, it's got me into trouble a few times as well. More than a few times, but I'm okay with that. I can sit and be happy with those. But yeah, I'm not. I would not be the mother. I would not be the woman I am today if it wasn't for being joyful and again consciously looking for it and being appreciative. And so yeah, that's my
I
answer.
love that. I love that. We need to hear some of those stories that got you in trouble, Donna. uh, Iris, what do you have to say? How has being joyful changed your life?
uh, Joyful. Being joyful changed my life in a way that I I attract I attract also like-minded people, and I have I found this community, this wonderful coaching minds community that I am with right now. Being with you, all of you, really makes my life purposeful and happy. And it also made me realize that I am successful, and it changed my perspective. It allowed me to move forward. You know, last week when I was meditating and I realized that I am successful now because all because I thought that I because of you know what my parents or what others say, in order to be successful you need to be this and this and this and this, like that. So all the while I thought I was nowhere near those words or those roles. So I thought that I was not successful and I kept on struggling and struggling. I kept on working hard. And then last week I realized, no, I will define my own success. And then looking back on what I have been through, and I've changed a lot, I matured enough, and I told myself, I am successful now. And I cried. So that's what joyful means to me and changed me.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Iris. I love that. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. We have some amazing comments, beautiful discussion, guys. Priya says, be the flow of joy wherever you go and whatever you do. Brenda says, love this. A smile can go a long way and change other people's life. Uh, Happy to hear that, Iris. Cheers, Iris. Salute. So many people are encouraging all our wonderful people in here. If you guys have any questions to ask our beautiful panel, this is the time to ask. With that, out of the blue, I have to say this. I would love for anyone who's watching this live or replay to do one thing that brings joy to your life. And I would love for our panelists to share something that brings joy to their life every single day without fail. You know, the smallest thing or the biggest thing. Adrian, we'll start with you.
A small thing, which is my big thing, is me writing. My writing just makes me smile, and for a very long time, I didn't write because I believed I'm not good enough and my writing's not good enough. And a friend spoke to me and told me, but Adrian, you don't have to show it to anyone as long as it makes you feel good. And since then, I've been writing daily.
I love that. Donna, something that brings joy to your life, small or big.
Oh, well, for me, music, dancing, 100%.
Mhm.
And so I do that every day, even if I'm doing a little shuffle to the kitchen to get a cup of coffee or what have you. And also, my children bought me a Hugh Jackman calendar, so I've got him to look at every single day. So I'm very happy.
I can get that. I can get that energy. Iris, something that brings you joy every single day, big or small.
Actually, there's a lot, but I can say my family. My family is not perfect. I mean, all families are dysfunctional, but every single day when I wake up, I think of them immediately, and the I think of what they have achieved, and I think of we are complete, we are blessed because there has been a lot of times that we were separated, especially during the holidays. So I'm really grateful that we're living in the same place now.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. You guys share a photo, share something that brings you joy every single day in the comments after the session ends. With that, I hope that this session genuinely kickstarted your journey and helped you live this January and the coming months from a joyful perspective. Thank you so much to our wonderful panelists, Adrian, Donna, and Iris. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for everyone who is tuning in live as well as who's watching the replay. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your time and space with our beautiful panelists here. I am grateful to be someone who facilitated this wonderful journey. Thank you so much.